So, you have done the B2 First speaking exam. Well done! Isn't that fantastic? But now you want to do the C1, the CAE, the Cambridge Advanced speaking exam. And you want to know if there is a difference between the CAE and the B2 First speaking exam. And yes, there are differences, but don't worry, because I will tell you all of them. Brilliant! Bruce, how important is it to have the same interests as your friends? Well, I think it is very important. Your friends don't have to have different interests to you, because if they do, it can make getting along very, very difficult. What? Don't have to? Jesus, Bruce, you idiot. You meant mustn't, not don't have to. Oh, what a stupid mistake. Oh my God. Bruce, you think you're C1 level? C1 level? Don't have to. Oh my God. Yeah, but Toby, you told me to make that mistake for the video. Well, no, I didn't. Shut up. For the CAE speaking exams, our grammatical expectations of you are slightly different when compared to the B2 First speaking exams. So, let's have a look at the CAE marking scheme that the speaking examiners use. And don't worry, because I will make a video all about this later on. The first thing to realise is that for the B2 First speaking exam, the examiners only have one category to mark you on related to your grammar and vocabulary, and it is called Grammar and Vocabulary. However, for the CAE, the Cambridge Advanced speaking exam, the examiners have two categories: grammatical resources and lexical resources. Also, I have no money. If you want to help me with that, then you can donate to the channel, like Kinga Slaby did. Wow, I love Kinga Slaby, and I'm sure you want to be just like Kinga Slaby. So, links in the comments and the description. Thanks! Desperation. Now, a 1 on the CAE assessment scale is the same as a 3 on the B2 First assessment scale. And remember, a 3 is a pass. So, if you passed your B2 First speaking exam with a grade of C, then that means you are a 1 at the CAE level. Yeah, I'm sorry. You're just a 1. You're a 1er. Not a winner, a 1er. Because of this difference in the marking scheme for the CAE speaking exam, my advice changes. Oh my God, Toby, your advice changes? Yes, it changes. For the B2 First speaking exam, I ask my students to avoid using the present simple at all costs, and instead use more complex grammatical structures, like inversion, for example. I love inversion. I tell my students to do this to ensure at least a 3 in the grammar and vocabulary part of the B2 First speaking exam. And this is because to get a 3, all a student needs to do is attempt some complex grammatical forms. Yes, just attempt them. They don't even have to get them correct. They just have to try. So at the B2 First level, please try. Let's have a look at an example of what I mean. Do you think where someone is born has an influence on their personality? Yeah, totally. If I had been born in another country, today I will be a very different person. Monica has just tried to mix the third and second conditional, which is fantastic. That's an amazing thing to do, but she's done it incorrectly. But this doesn't matter. No, instead, listen to what the examiner hears. Hey, Mr. Examiner, you're pretty cute. Also, I know that mixed conditionals exist, and I can also try to use them. Wow, I'm pretty smart, right? That is all you need to do at the B2 First level. Just try. If you try, you'll get a 3. And if you get a 3, you'll pass. But this is not enough at the advanced level. No, it's not. So how can we get top marks in grammar at the CAE level? Well, let's have a look at what we need to do to get a 5 in the grammatical resources section. Here it says that the candidate must maintain control of a wide range of grammatical forms. This cannot be found on the B2 First marking scheme. So what does it mean, and how is it different to B2 First? Well, let me tell you a secret. At the CAE level, There isn't any new grammar that you need to learn that you haven't already covered at the B2 First level. Seriously? 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 Yes, seriously. It's the same as the B2 First. Okay, so there may be a few more inversion structures, there may be a few more expressions with the subjunctive, and there may be a few more uses of modal verbs, but in general, it's exactly the same. But in the speaking exam, grammatically, there is a big difference. Oh wow, no way! A B2 First student should be aware that the future perfect continuous exists, for example. They should be able to identify it in a text. They should know when to use it and what it means. They may even be able to complete grammar exercises all about it. However, they probably cannot use it naturally in conversation. A CAE student can. A CAE student should be able to produce the future perfect continuous naturally and easily. And I'm not talking about this tense in specific, I'm using it as an example of complex grammar that a CA student knows and is able to use with ease when speaking. Bruce, do you think it's important for children to learn how to play an instrument? Yeah, I do. I started playing the guitar when I was a kid. In fact, next year I'll have been playing for 15 years. I think it helped me learn about dedication and perseverance. How was that?
Yes, Bruce, well done. You can speak English.
Alright, good. This clearly was not a rehearsed response. Bruce had an idea that he wanted to express, and in order to express it, he had to use the future perfect continuous. This shows that his grammatical ability does not place a limit on what he is able to say, and this is necessary at the CAE level in order to score the highest marks possible. At the B2 First level, it's not, and you are not expected to be able to have this type of grammatical control. For CAE, yes, you are. You are probably very bored with listening to me telling students not to describe the pictures in part 2 of the B2 First speaking exam. And yes, this advice still applies at the C1 level, except it is even more important because there are 2 questions to answer. 2 questions? Yes. Oh my God, Toby, there are 2 questions? Yes, 2 questions. This means instead of answering 1 question about 2 pictures in 1 minute, you must answer 2 questions about 2 pictures in 1 minute. And that's not a lot of time. That's 15 seconds per question per picture. Oh no! If you start describing without answering, then you will run out of time. And that's a terrible thing. But that does not mean that there is no description involved. Because if you want to answer the questions well, then you will have to use some vocabulary related to the pictures. So what happens then if you look at the pictures and you think, oh my gosh, I have no vocabulary? Well, the CAE, the Cambridge Advanced to the C1 exam, tries to help you here. Instead of giving you 2 pictures, they give you 3. And you must choose 2 pictures to talk about in the exam. And that's a really good thing. Look at the pictures and decide which 2 you have the most vocabulary for, and then speak about those 2. Simple! Let's look at an example, and these images come from the Cambridge Handbook for Teachers. In this part of the test, I'm going to give each of you 3 pictures. I would like you to talk about 2 of them on your own for about 1 minute, and also to answer a question about your partner's pictures. Monica, it is your turn first. Here are your pictures. They show people attending special events. Okay, I would like you to compare 2 of the pictures and say what the people might find interesting about these events, and also how difficult the events might be to organize. All right? Yeah.
Oh my God, come on, Monica. Which pictures shall I choose? Oh my God, I love fashion. I know so much about it, so yeah. I'll definitely choose that picture. And oh my God, tennis? No, gross. A concert? Well, yeah. I go to concerts, so I can be a bit of a rock chick, you know what I mean? I'm a rebel.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about the concert and the
fashion show. I think people might be interested in the fashion show because people are fascinated by beautiful things, like me. And they could see beautiful things as something to aspire to. I reckon it would be really hard to organize because it looks really complicated. Like, the set is totally amazing. I cannot make out what it is, but it looks very expensive. But fashion is so worth it. You can't put a price on fashion. I think people might find the concept interesting, on the other hand, because it's like more inclusive. Fashion is for the beautiful, whereas music unites everyone, even the dirty people outside. Ew, oh my god. And no one is even wearing a mask. Ugh, gross. Ugly people smell. Hello. This event would probably be really easy to organize because it's just a stage in a field. Anyone could do that. This was good. A bit weird, but good. Here, Monica decided that she couldn't speak about tennis. She didn't have the understanding or the vocabulary to talk about why people might be interested in this sport, so instead, she chose to describe the concert and the fashion show. This is what you should be doing. Also, notice how at the beginning, Monica let the examiner know which pictures she was going to talk about. This is good, and you should do this too. Anyway, of course, another great video will be coming out all about part 2 of the CAE speaking exam. So if you're feeling a bit confused, then don't worry, I will have a video all about it on my channel. If it's already made, it'll be here, so click that link. If there's no link here, then I haven't made it yet. But give me time! Jesus Christ, I can only make one video a week. I cannot physically do more than that. Oh, I already hate my life because of this channel as it is. Don't make me hate it even more. Thank you. Oh. Parts 3 and 4 of the CAE, the C1, the Cambridge Advanced Speaking Exam, are the same as parts 3 and 4 of the B2 First Speaking Exam. However, there are 2 differences. Two? Yes, 2. The first difference is that you have more time. And you don't have a lot more time, but you have a little bit more time. In part 4 of the B2 First exam, you have 4 minutes. In part 4 of the CAE exam, you have 5 minutes. If you're in a group of 3, you have 8 minutes in the CAE exam for part 4 alone. And 8 minutes, wow, that's a long time to talk for. And of course, this means that you need to talk more, obviously. However, this is not difficult because the questions at the CAE level are more interesting. In fact, I have learnt most of my social skills from the Cambridge Advanced Speaking Exam. Hey Bruce, why am I here? I just thought us guys could hang out. Do you know what I mean? Okay. Bruce, do you think it's likely that in the future there will be a global language that everyone in the world speaks? What are you talking about? Yeah, man. Me neither. Cool. Seriously, these questions require you to talk more. So speaking will not be a problem. But this brings me to my next point. Let's go back to that very exciting CAE Cambridge Advanced C1 assessment scale. Yes! Here is interactive communication, and this is how the examiners mark you on how you interact with your partner. To get a 1 at the CAE level, which is the same as a 3, a pass, at the B2 First level, the candidate must maintain and develop the interaction towards an outcome with very little support. A 3 at the CAE level, which is the same as a 5 at the B2 First level, requires the candidates to link their contributions with those of the other speakers. And this is why I tell students to never, ever, ever say I agree, and instead to always rephrase what their partner said before them. But for a 5 at the CAE level, we have something new. Widens the scope of the interaction. What does that mean? It refers to the ability of the candidates to start talking about a topic and then to slowly and naturally transition onto other related topics.
This is usually what happens in a natural conversation, if you have social skills. Is it better to make decisions on your own or to ask other people for advice? So Bruce, what do you think? Do you prefer making decisions on your own or asking other people for advice? To be honest, I prefer making decisions on my own. I don't think anyone else can truly understand what the best options are for me. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, Bruce, but sometimes humans can be overly emotional. So don't you think it could be better to have someone outside of the situation evaluate it for you because they could be like impartial? No? But Monica, how could they possibly understand what's best for me? Yeah, no one knows what my feelings are, and therefore I think I am the best person to evaluate my options. Wow, Bruce, that's a bit solipsistic. Do you seriously think that only you have access to your reality? Well, yeah, Monica. No one else can truly understand what it is like to be Bruce. You know, as Joseph Conrad said in his novel Heart of Darkness, we live as we dream, alone. Yeah? Okay, so this is a strange example, but it's a good example. Monica and Bruce started talking about the question, but gradually the topic and the scope of the question was widened, and they started talking about broader and more philosophical topics. Wow, amazing! Let's put it this way. When you are having a conversation with your friend, do you talk about one topic and then pause and look at each other and go, I've got nothing else to say now? Well, okay, I do this all the time, but that's because I am terrible company. But I don't need to take this exam. I already speak English, so brilliant. Normal people are able to have a nice conversation about something and then slowly, gradually transition onto another topic that is related to the first one. Okay, so don't talk about making decisions and then introduce the topic of aeroplane engines. That makes no sense. But you wouldn't do that in a normal conversation either, would you? No! Guys and girls, you can do this easily. Just be confident and be genuinely interested in what your partner has to say. And this actually isn't hard in the CAE exam because the questions are interesting. There will be questions that you will not have thought about before, and you will think, wow, I don't know what my opinion is on that, so let me think about it and give my answer. And I wonder what my partner thinks, because maybe they know something that I don't. And if they do, I want to know what I don't know and what they do know. That should be your attitude. Be inquisitive and have a nice, thoughtful conversation with them. Yes, yes. And Monica, what do you think? Well, I suppose I can relate to what Bruce is saying, because I only ask myself for advice too. But that's because I'm beautiful and perfect and I know everything about everything already, so I don't need to ask anyone else for advice. But Bruce, if I were you, I would ask me for advice too, because, well, someone needs some fashion advice. Monica, Bruce, that is the end of the test. Goodbye. Ciao, ciao. Yeah, see you in the next video. And with that, we are finished. Now you know everything you need to know about the differences between the B2 First and the CAE speaking exams. If you liked the video, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, leave a comment down below. My name is Toby, and this was Smash English.